Hello everyone, I'm Eva. I created this channel to inspire you to move, get healthy and fit. Today, I have for you something else. I started a series of videos of me trying different sports and activities. Sometimes I will have some guests with me, sometimes I will try them alone. It's for you to understand that even a fitness trainer can make some mistakes and doesn't do everything perfectly. The point is for you to start moving, get inspired and have fun. The first activity I will be trying is QiGong. So what is QiGong actually? QiGong is literally life energy cultivation. It is old Chinese system of coordinated body posture and movement, breathing and meditation. Nowadays it's used for recreation, exercise, relaxation or training for martial arts. Our guest today will help us understand what QiGong is and instruct us through some QiGong movements. Let's meet Anna Jacobsen, an experienced QiGong teacher that also immersed herself in the study of various martial arts from different traditions and cultures. She was also studying the correlation between the body, movement and cognition. In her professional naturopathic practice, she offers hands-on and movement therapy to people living with pain, anxiety and stress, helping them to find more balance and freedom within and throughout their body. Welcome, Anna. Thank you for taking time to be here with us.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
That's great. I wanted to ask you first, shall I call you teacher or shall I call you master? How is it in QiGong?
Oh, I don't know. I'm really not a QiGong master, I have to say. I learned some forms from a Chinese teacher, and I've done them like for almost 20 years, so I have experience with it, and I do pass it on to people the way I learned it and the way I think it's helpful, but I'm not really a QiGong master because it's not like I could say I'm doing this style or that style. QiGong has so many different styles and forms and traditions. It's a very old, important Chinese cultural tradition, and so I can't really claim too much fame with regard to that. I see it as a somatic expression. I'm a somatic therapist and teacher, so in that sense, I might be more than a teacher than it. But yeah, in that sense, I see QiGong.
So let's stick with the teacher then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so before we get into who you are and what you do, how you do it, let's start to explain what's Qi. Can you tell us briefly what's Qi?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a word for something that you cannot really describe. My teacher would say, like, when the water moves in a circle, like for, like that, like a whirl, that's something where you can see the qi, but normally it's something that you can't see. It's the life force or the energy of life, and it moves in everything, like inside, outside, in the air, in our bodies, in every living thing, but it's not something that you can pinpoint, like say, like, here, have some qi, like a tomato or something. We can do an exercise later when in the part where we can feel it, and that's something you can feel, and once you learn to feel it, you can actually direct it with your mind, and that's part of what QiGong is. It's a practice to learn to work with the qi in the body or with other people. And then, I mean, in Indian, it has many words in different cultures, like prana is the same in Indian culture. QiGong, in a way, is a science of qi. So you learn how to feel it, to perceive it. Each organ has their own qi. You have qi that's given to you from birth through your parents, which would be like your genetics in the Western understanding. But then you also have the qi that you get through eating. Like if you eat food that is very nutritious, it has more qi. Like the more tasty something is, the more qi it has. Like a tomato, you can have a really nice tomato that tastes of tomato, or you can have something that tastes of nothing. And then the one that tastes better is the tomato with the qi, with more qi. So that gives you an idea of what qi is. Yeah.
Yes, that's really interesting. And what is then your story? How did you start practicing QiGong?
I started with Aikido. It's a Japanese martial art, and the chi is in that word, in that name too. It's ki in Japanese. Ki Aikido means in a way like the way to move energy in a continuous way. And so I started that, and then I found that there were all these things that I could feel, but I didn't really have a name for it. I found that I could think better, I felt better, I was more clear, not only in my body, feeling like I could learn to move better, but I also was able to have more clarity making decisions. And so I felt like there's a big connection between being physically strong and healthy and happy and the thinking. And so I started exploring that, and that brought me to Qigong. There was a Chinese teacher, Wenjin Zhu, who taught me, and he taught me Tai Chi and some other Chinese movement arts. And then I finally also learned some Qigong from him.
I also saw that you have different interesting backgrounds of the movements, like you already mentioned, different martial arts, like Aikido, or you trained lots of different martial arts, and also some somatic movement therapy. That's also really interesting. And did it influence your Qigong practice then? And if yes, how is your Qigong practice different to the classical Qigong approach?
Yeah, I mean, the somatic training I did with a dancer from New York, and she is a very, somatics is the Western version of working with the body and being in the body and being perceptual, working with the senses and all these things. And the Western world really only discovers this. And before they did all these Asian arts, and now they start to discover through that the human condition of being in the body, right? And for me, since I'm not a Chinese person, I don't have access to this whole cultural background of Chinese history and culture, and Qigong is totally tied in with that. And even the way they move is like how they learn to move from the beginning, when they learn to walk and everything is different in a way. It's a cultural difference in the way they move. So I can try to understand that through learning the form, but I cannot be a Chinese person because I wasn't born in China and I don't even speak Chinese. I try to learn it, but it's hard. And so I learned from it in a way like to better feel the different culture. And then the somatic training gave me a lot more deeper insight into what's actually going on, like the anatomy, the endocrine system, like the chakras and the glands and all these, the nervous system, how they all play together. So the real deep understanding of it came through voice movement integration, which I learned with Patricia Barty, and that gave me a deeper insight into the Qigong. So I bring in emotional aspects, and I really teach people to feel themselves using these Qigong forms. That's what I can teach. I cannot teach Chinese Qigong. Yeah, Qigong also, it's always connected to breathing. So breathing has a big aspect of it. And yeah, that's just to be more conscious of yourself. That's what Qigong is for me. Mm-hmm.
So now we can go maybe deeper into the Qigong practice. I saw you on your YouTube channel that you explain in great detail 8 brocades. Maybe you can say what are those brocades? What are they? What is it?
Yeah, brocades are, they're just, that's a word that they like to use that describes like something very precious. You could also call it 8 precious things or so. And there are 8 movements, very simple movements that are connected with breathing. And they, they lead you to guide the qi through the meridians in the body and to activate certain different movements, joints. So they kind of make you, it's kind of like, I call it like a house cleaning. Like when you do that form, you kind of refresh your entire system once. That's what it is really. Qigong always has a set of movements, like 5 or 9 or 8. And then you do each of the movements a certain number of times, like 5 or 8 or 9 times. and then you go back to standing centered. And so it's each movement has its own name, description, meaning. It has a health aspect. It has a physical aspect. It's just one whole developed thing. And then you have 8 of these in a sequence. So brocade that's just the name of this specific form. There's others that are called like the 5 animals or other names. So the 8 brocades is one of the classics, and there are many different ways to do it. And then that's the way I learned it, and then joined that way. Yeah.
I also learned from your YouTube channel about the moment of stillness in between the movements.
Yeah.
What is this moment of stillness, and why do we need it?
Well, I think we all need it with everything going on so fast all the time. And so as I said, my somatic teacher said that there is always like each thought in the head creates a tension of some kind in the body, and each tension in the body creates a form of thought in the brain. And so stillness is when you don't have thoughts really, and you're not thinking, oh, I have to check my emails, or I have to go shopping, or all these things that constantly go on in your head. So in order to achieve that quietness in the head, you have to be relaxed in the body. It doesn't mean you don't have any shape, you're not like broken down and really shapeless, but you are relaxed. Your body can carries you, and you don't have to hold yourself up and work at being sitting or whatever you do. You just sit there, and that's stillness in that sense. It's stillness in movement, and it's stillness in thought. Yeah, and in the Chinese form, it's always like you start with being really still, and then you decide to start moving, which is the separation. So you're kind of in the big one, where you merge with everything. And then you start moving, you say, okay, now I start. And then things separate into positive and dual, yin and yang, the dualism. And so then you have the front and the back of the movement, and everything kind of becomes more complex, and you start moving and breathing, and you do this whole thing. And at the end, you bring it back to the stillness. And so that's like very calming then also the practice, because you don't just do 8 movements one after the next. You always come back to center, to stillness, to being calm and quiet, and then you start the new, like in music, when you finish one movement and then the new movement comes, and there's always a break in between, and that's the moment of stillness.
How would then people benefit from QiGong, in your opinion, from the practice?
Yeah, so I think it depends on how much movement you do normally, but I think this moment of stillness already is a big benefit, because the more you experience it, the more you're able to go back to it also in your normal life. Like when you do dishes, you can also be in stillness, right? Or so you can find it better. And then, I mean, all the moving the qi in the body is always really important. If you don't move the qi, it kind of gets stuck, like when you imagine water in the swamp. It doesn't move, and then all these debris kind of collects, and it can stagnate, and then you get pain. So moving the qi helps to keep everything flowing, and it keeps you subtle and moving and not having pain. And, yeah, that's the idea.
Question for the practice then. Is it then, does it have specific structure then? We were talking already about it, about the 8 movements. Does it have some warm-up, cool-down? How does it look? Because I go from fitness background, so I would like to understand if it always has the same structure, the class that you do.
Oh, yeah, my class. So the form has always the same structure, obviously. You have the sequence of movements, and it's one big ritual that you repeat, and it's really important in QiGong that you always do the same thing again and again and again and again, and the practice accumulates, because every time it's a new experience, and it becomes richer and richer and richer, and you can feel more. And so that's important. QiGong practice is repeating a form 100,000 times, 10,000 times, and then only like I do it 20 years and I still learn about it. So it's not something that's boring and repetition. When I do a practice with people, basically, like Chinese traditional way is just to do the form, but then for people here, they are used to changing things all the time and bringing new aspects in and being a little more entertained in their movement. When you think of aerobic or stuff like that, you are like be constantly talked to. And so I try to bring people into the stillness by leading them there. So I always do a little bit of warm up. I have them experience the calm in the body while standing. And these videos are on my canal. And then in the end, we always do the form together. And I can explain certain aspects or details. But the important part is always just doing the form. That's the most important. That's Qigong. The other stuff is explanation, but in the end, you have to find it in your own body while you do it. Mm.
Do we do it in shoes or barefoot? How would you recommend to do the Qigong?
Barefoot is the best. I mean, when you're out in the park, you might want to choose to wear shoes. I actually only wear barefoot shoes because then I can feel the ground better. I think being in touch with the ground is important. Yeah, that's one of the things that you actually do in Qigong, is being in touch with the ground. You kind of like a connection between heaven and earth. Like heaven is above you and earth is underneath you, and you're kind of the man is kind of like the connection between the two. And so if you feel the earth in your feet, that's like when you have very thick soles. But then if you can't do it any other way, it's not a problem. So the good thing about Qigong is it's not, you can do it in all kinds of ways. Some are more ideal, but you always get benefit from it. Mm. But I would take off the shoes if I can.
I have the shoes on, so I will take them off soon. So how would you, two more questions, how would you then recommend Qigong? How would you encourage people to train Qigong?
Well, Qigong is like, if you take a simple form, like the 8 brocades, then you can just start doing it and like try to find in it what you find. But then I think if you really want to learn it deeper, it's always good to have a teacher, and in-person teacher, because a lot of this stuff is transferred from body to body. It's like being in presence of somebody who has more experience always gives you a better experience than when you just do it on your own. So I think that's good. But if you don't have a teacher, just starting to learn the form, remember the movements, try to do it as exactly the same as possible as you see it on the video, then maybe even tape yourself so that you can see what you do differently, that's already a big process. And then, yeah, I don't know. In the end, it's, as I said, it's the repetition, but you want to have somebody who tells you, yes, that's the way to do it, because if you repeat something that's not quite correct, then you're just learning something you don't want to learn. So that's what I think. Yeah.
Would you say it's for everyone then, or it's for specific group of, or anyone can try and do it?
No, it's very open. It's very generous way, like to enter the world of Qi, and it's very, yeah. If you choose a simple form like the 8 brocades, it's really great to have a first experience, and then you can go into a lot of different more specific training. And I mean, Qigong is like you can cultivate your body in any kind of way. They even had something that was called scent, like you know, like roses smell, like the beautiful scent Qigong, and women would do it so that they smell better. So that gives you an idea of what kind of power is in it. But the beginning of it is always just to learn how to be still and how to move and how to repeat a movement in the same way and all these things. And for that, you can just start doing it. Yeah.
That's great. So we'll start doing it. Just last question. Where can we find you? If someone wants to train with you, or someone wants to, that you will be the teacher for them of Qigong, where can they find you?
Well, anybody living in Cologne can find me in my practice or just give me a call. I would teach on Zoom if somebody really wants. I mean, they can find my YouTube canal, QiGong and Nordpack. There's like all about the 8 brocades, or a lot about, even in English, some of it, most in German. They can just contact me and we can figure out what to do. Yeah.
Great. Then I will link everything in the description below.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Definitely we will be able to find you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good. So let's start with the movements.
To give you experience and essence of what QiGong is, I tried few movements of QiGong with Anna. Anna always starts all her classes with a warm-up to get people into the movement. She got inspired to do it before QiGong practice by another martial arts. We were simply circling all the joints to get some movement to our body, always moving in both directions. During the warm-up, we even tried some wax on, wax off movement from Karate Kid. It is just the warm-up, but it is also the way of becoming aware of your body. It is a great way to wake up and move a bit in the morning or at any time you feel a bit stiff or tensed. QiGong practice has moment of stillness before beginning of each movement. Anna explained that this moment allows to calm the mind and breath and to become more present. I experienced it by standing still and feeling the ground under my feet. Focused attention allowed me to notice small movements, balancing effort of my body. My joints were relaxing and my body was trying to find the center. When I allowed the movements to get bigger, I noticed my body relaxing. Nowadays, it is really difficult to achieve the full stillness. I could get a glimpse of it, but I am sure you need more practice to actually calm your mind. Anna explained that the moment your body finds the balance, you become more still. After the moment of stillness, Anna showed me how to awaken the qi before we started with the practice and the first movement of 8 brocades. Just to remind you, the exercises system of the 8 brocades works with the concept of meridians, life energy, qi, that flows against blockages. We started by simply taking one arm and then, with the breath out, stroking the arm on the inside and breath in on the outside. We did the same with both arms. I definitely felt my arms getting tingly. Anna explained it was awakening of the cells. We can do those stroking movements on the whole body and go along the meridians. Meridians are the motorways for qi on which the energy travels. The main meridian is the center axis of the body. It goes down at the front and then it comes back up along the spine. Then goes all the way to the top of the head and then back down to the front. You can guide the qi along this central meridian. Anna showed me how to do that by introducing the first movement of 8 brocades. The first and simplest movement of QiGong is called hands raised to heaven or palms raised to heaven. By doing it, you can take care of your inner organs. We started with the hands on our lower belly, the center of qi. We came back to the moment of stillness. We relaxed the arms and started with the simple movement of lifting up the hands with the palms turned upwards. Then we came back down with the arms on the sides. When we move the arms, the qi moves up along our spine at the back of our body, and it moves down the front of the body when we breathe out. It makes the circle. I felt the places that qi didn't move fluently. It felt as it didn't come up as fast as in other places. Anna suggested to allow the hands to go slower, move your body and shoulders a bit to help the energy flow. Energy might be stacked in the places that we are the most tense. Very often, neck, shoulders. You should do the movement specific number of times, depending on which form you practice. At the end of the movement, we open our hands and made a little circle to bring the qi back to the center. We finished off with putting the hands on our lower belly to go back to the balancing, standing mode and store safely the qi. I tried also the third movement of 8 brocades. This movement separates heaven and earth. By doing it, you are taking care of your stomach and spleen. We are opening the upper region, helping the energy to flow better. Anna and I started in the basic position. We placed one leg to the side and put the hands in the position similar to holding the bowl in front of the pelvis. We scooped with one of our hands along the central meridian and then brought it back down. We repeated the same with another hand. Then we came back to the middle and went to the other side. In this movement, you can actually feel the energy moving when you scoop the hands up. At the end, like always, we brought the qi back to the center. You can do just one movement as long as you bring back the qi to the center. This might be all you need at the moment. If you have time, do the whole class to have a complete experience. Anna, it was a pleasure speaking to you and training with you. Thank you for your time and sharing your wisdom with us. Guys, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, consider subscribing, leave a like or a comment. If you would like to start your journey with QiGong and you would like to train with Anna, I will link all the important information in the description box below. It was great to see you here. See you next time. So check the links in the description box below. Leave the subscription. Comment if you like the video. Okay, I'm playing around now.